Hi, I'm Brandon, game developer and art lecturer. Have your starting journey in Zbrush been challenging? Because it is the same for me. And in this video, I hope to cover three basic parts of Zbrush. First is to set up the viewport so that we can get ready for sculpt. Second is to navigate around the viewport so that we can, produce some kind of art as a small little win for you guys to enjoy the process. And lastly, it's how do we save the file so that we can continue our work in the following days. Just to share a little bit of my journey and my experience of using Zbrush at the start. The user interface and user experience wasn't very intuitive to begin with. Zbrush is very different from other software that I've used like Maya and 3ds Max, and for my head to wrap around this very basic stuff was frustrating. And I hope that these three main topics that we'll be covering will help you get past and get over the initial barrier of entry and use that in your future projects. So let's get started. Alright, so we're in Zbrush right now, and this is usually how the interface would welcome you to the software. And usually you will see this panel at the top. It's just really to help you give quicker access to all the different recent projects that you have, and also quick save. For example, as you're working, there are projects that are saved for you so that you can easily access them into the future. You can also hit open file over here to kind of access your previous files that you've been working on. So that's a very good panel to begin with, but for a beginner this can be overwhelming because you're looking at a lot of things and you don't quite know how to start. So I would hit on the keyboard a comma keyboard shortcut to turn this off, turn this on, or you could come up here at this top portion where you see a hide icon. You could click on that and that could basically do the same thing without a shortcut. The next thing is you would like to intuitively interact with the viewport, and the moment you start doing something you realize, oh wait, what is this? This is basically 2.5D technology in Zbrush that I don't really use at all, and this is caused by having this brush as selected by default. So I'll just hit Ctrl Z just to undo this part, and if we could just click on this and change this into a sphere, you can come over here and expand on a sphere. And I always use the sphere because it's just a very good starting point for most of my sculpt. And if you were to just click and drag on the viewport, you create a sphere in the viewport. And then the next part would be, alright, let's start sculpting, right? And then the moment you sculpt on the sphere, you create another sphere. And then you thought you would like to do it again, just give it a try, and you end up having a lot of sphere in the viewport. And you just can't get started, right? That itself was the most frustrating part for me because I have no idea how to use Zbrush. You close the software and you give up on it. So this is the part that I need you guys to hang on for a bit longer, and I will guide you guys through. This is basically Zbrush trying to help you guys be creative in the 2D space, but then it's not something that is set up for a sculpt right away. To clear this, hit Ctrl and N on the keyboard to remove everything. Draw another sphere, holding down Shift. As you can see, my mouse is moving. If I don't hold down Shift, I can rotate the sphere, right? But if the moment I hold down Shift, it's locked to an axis. That's how I would usually set it up. The next thing you want to do is to hit on this button called Edit. But you also face with this error box. This is basically saying that the sphere right now is not in a PolyMesh 3D, and basically that means you can't sculpt. And the button is actually just over here, and if you were to just click it, remove the error, click it again once more, and you see over here it writes PM3D _ sphere 3D. PM3D means PolyMesh 3D, and that means you have successfully turned it into a PolyMesh. Come back to the sphere and now you can start sculpting. There's also a couple of things I need to help you guys with navigating the interface, or at least within the viewport. The most requested one is, how do I turn on Symmetry? So if you hit on X right now and turn X off, do you notice there is another red dot on the opposite side as well? And that is basically Symmetry turned on. And if I hit X again, it's turned off. X again, it's back on. And when you start sculpting, the other side is now also symmetrical with the sculpt, and this is my usual workflow. So by clicking on the screen and left mouse button, you can orbit around the sphere like that. And with alternate holding down followed by left mouse button, you can now pan around like what I'm doing right now. Right, so left mouse button to rotate, alternate plus left mouse button to pan. And if you were to release your Alt button right now, it's zoom. This is the part that I'm saying it gets really frustrating because no other software has this complex amount of shortcuts just to navigate around. And if you want to kind of zoom, you would naturally want to use a scroll. That doesn't work in ZBrush. So just get yourself used to this flow and get yourself used to, you know, the muscle memory. And once you're using this for like a week, just playing around, it becomes second nature. And you don't even have to think about how to navigate around. So just the initial portion will be frustrating, that's for sure. But give it some patience, give it some time, and you will learn how to pick this up. So let's get moving. Alright, so the final part is about saving, and there are two methods to save the file. And I was navigating around in the past trying to find a save button, and this is the one that was the most obvious to me. And I realized now that is actually the wrong method. But it is still gonna save something, just not the entire project. But let's just give it a try. When you hit save as over here, you see that it's under .ztl, which means it's a Z tool. And what that means is basically having it to save the file that you've selected right over here. In this case, this specific Z tool will be exported out and saved. But any other tools that you have will not be saved. So in this specific case, this save as is going to be supporting only the tool that you have selected. The second method, which is the proper way, is to save the project. And in this case, it's going to File, Save As, and over here, as you can see the directory, it's .zpr. .zpr means ZBrush project. And this is going to save everything that you have, including all the Z tools. However, it's not going to save the config, which over here you have to hit store config to export out the config and have it be booted up every single time. There is also a UI where you could save the UI. In this case, I have a hot panel that I usually have access to. And I also do have a separate tutorial to teach you guys how to set up this and work 10 times faster, because now you don't have to go into individual palettes and dig out the tools that you need. They are literally at your fingertips. So do look out for that. I will paste it in the description. Check that out. But again, back to saving, as I mentioned, .zpr is going to save every single subtool and your settings, but it's not going to probably save your config, right? So we've learned how to work with the interface, how to set up the viewport, how to navigate around the viewport, and finally, how do you save the file so that you can enjoy your sculpting process beyond today, right? And you can load up the file tomorrow and have fun with it. And I hope you guys find this tutorial helpful. If you have any friction of using ZBrush and you need help, write in the comments and I will read them and hopefully create a video just to help you guys out. So I hope you enjoy using the software, and I'll see you around.